This is Dukuru Chiranjeevi, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, Aditya University. We will discuss programming for problem solving using C. Topic computer organization. At the end of this lecture, the learning outcome is student will able to discuss the basics of computer. What is computer? Computer is a electronic device or programmable device which consists of hardware and software. Software runs on hardware. Computer will be used to store the information, process the information. Computer will understand binary language 0 and 1, zeros and 1. What is hardware? So, the physical components or peripherals of computer are known as hardware. Example, you can take CPU, mouse, keyboard, monitor, etc. What is software? Software is a program which consists of set of various instructions. Now, let us look at the computer. You can clearly identify what are the output parts and what are the input parts or components. Now speaker is the output component, monitor or screen is the output component, and now you can look at inside the CPU storage memory is available, and that is hard disk, and printer is also the output device. Now if you look at keyboard and mouse, these are the input devices. Now here there is a CPU, so the CPU will be used for processing the information. Now what is software? As I said, computer consists of hardware and software. What is software? Software is a program which consists of set of instructions, various instructions, right? So the softwares are categorized into two types. One is system software and the second one is application software. Now what is system software? The software which runs the system is known as system software, and the most important software is also known as system software. Example is operating system. Now example, Windows, Linux, Mac, iOS, CentOS, and device drivers are also known as system softwares. Example, so these device like audio driver, Bluetooth, network, Wi-Fi drivers, these all are examples of drivers. Now what is application software? To solve any day-to-day problem by using any application is known as application software, right? So example, let's say the problem is, let's say communication between two friends. They can use a software dialer, maybe they can use WhatsApp audio call, WhatsApp application. So these are the example. You can say any software application, any application like dialer, Hotstar, then all applications which are available in the Play Store. These all are the example for application software. Now what is hardware? The physical components which are visible to the human naked eyes is known as hardware. Now these hardware's components are divided into 6 categories: input unit, output unit, primary memory, secondary memory, and CPU, and arithmetic logic unit. Now I will explain these logical units correlate with human being. Let's take this human being is a human computer. Now if you treat this human being is a human computer, now you see input unit is there, output unit, primary memory, secondary memory, CPU is there. Now if you see in input unit, eyes, nose, mouth are input unit. In output unit, only mouth. Primary storage, you can see upper part of the brain. CPU is full brain, and secondary storage is the lower bottom part of the brain, right? Now let me discuss these things technically with the computer. What is input unit? Before I discuss input unit, let me discuss about this block diagram of the computer. So in this block diagram, central processing unit, which consists of 3 components. One is registers, This register will store the information in CPU. And arithmetic logic unit, second component. So in this arithmetic logic unit, actually arithmetic operations will be calculated. The third one is control unit. In the control unit, it coordinates all the operations in the computer. And there is a memory section. This memory section is primary memory and secondary memory. In primary memory, all the operations will be performed, all the processing tasks will be done, and in the secondary memory, the information will be stored. And we also having input devices. These input devices will receive information from the user, and output devices, by using these output devices, you can display the information in the monitor. Now I will discuss input unit. This input unit is also known as receiving section in the computer. Examples I have already discussed: mouse, keyboard, microphone, scanner, network. These all are input units in the input parts in the computer. They will receive the information from the user. By using these devices, they will receive the information from the user in input unit. Output unit. This is the shipping section. Output unit is also known as shipping section. Here the data will be processed by computer and displayed in the monitor. Example for this: screen, printer, speaker, etc. And next is memory, that is primary memory. So this primary memory is also known as main memory. Example is RAM. Main memory example is RAM. Okay. Now in this primary memory will be used for processing the information. Primary memory will be used for processing the information. Okay, where every application, whatever we will open in our device, every application software will be opened in primary memory only. The primary memory, the information is volatile in nature. Volatile means the data will be available unless until the system is not getting off. Once the system is getting off, the data will be lost. So if the data is erased once the system is off, then we can say, since we cannot access the data, that is why we are saying information is volatile. So this is all about primary memory. So this is you can also say this primary memory is also known as temporary memory, because information only available for temporary period of time, right? And the next section is arithmetic logic unit. Arithmetic logic unit is also known as manufacturing section in computer. It does perform arithmetic calculations like addition, subtraction, and it also does some logical decisions, and it helps CPU also. Now next section is central processing unit. So the CPU stands for central processing unit, which is the supervisor of the computer and which perform all the tasks in computer and which operates all the tasks and all the processes in the computer. So this CPU is also known as administrative section. It coordinates all the processes and operations whatever occur in the computer. So you can use multiple CPUs in a computer. So those are multiprocessors, or you can also use multi-core processors as well. The next unit is secondary storage or secondary memory. So this is also known as permanent memory. This is also known as permanent memory. You can access the data which is stored in the secondary memory at any point of life in future. So examples for this secondary memory is disks, DVD, CDs, flash, drives, SSDs, memory cards, pen drives, etc. So the information is stored in permanently. That's why the information in secondary memory is non-volatile. So you can access any point of life. Now if you compare the cost of secondary memory with the primary memory, the cost of secondary memory 1 TB, which is equivalent to 1024 GB, cost hardly 5000 rupees. If you buy a RAM which is of 4 GB, which will cost around 4000 rupees. So you can say that primary memory is more costlier than secondary memory. At the same time, the processing speed of secondary memory is slower than compared to primary memory. primary memory is faster. That's why the applications are processed, any operation is processed in the primary memory only. The applications are stored in secondary memory, but whenever you open, they will open in the primary memory and they will process it in the primary memory, then they will open. Even the games like PUBG, Free Fire or any other game, if you open, if you see their storage, they are around 40 GB, 50 GB. Even though your RAM is hardly 4 GB, 8 GB, 16 GB, still that application is able to open in the RAM because RAM is faster. Very quickly those games open in the primary memory. Now if you open in the secondary memory same game, it may take 5 to 10 minutes, which user may distract, user may get bored. So compared to primary memory, secondary memory is slightly slower. So now let me discuss operating system. So operating system is an interface between hardware and user. Operating system is an interface between user and hardware. If you look at the diagram, you will understand this, what I am saying. Operating system is the interface between user and hardware. Or you can also say operating system OS is the bridge between hardware and user. Okay, any application user want to open, that will be opened and it send a message to operating system and immediately it will respond to hardware component. Again same messages will be sent towards user. So it's a two-way communication. So any application user will open, then it will be sent to operating system, immediately it will react and it will send to hardware, hardware will again react to operating system, operating system respond to application, so that user will access it. So a collection of programs, a collection of multiple programs that manages resource of a computer like processor, memory, input output devices, also known as operating system. Okay, it generally perform basic tasks and manage transition between jobs, and it also increase the throughput. So simply if you want to understand this operating system, you can say it's the bridge between user and hardware. So the summary of this lecture is, I have discussed about basics of computer, like what is computer, what is hardware, what is software, and various types of hardware, various types of software. Then I have discussed various input parts, output parts in this lecture. Thank you.